Well, it's great to be speaking to you from where I am on a bright autumn afternoon. Psalm 99 verse 1 says this: I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of your wonderful deeds. And actually, if you look through the Psalms, that whole principle of rehearsing God's goodness and telling of his deeds and his wonderful works of love is repeated over and over and over. And that whole principle, that gratitude is an attitude, and to have a heart that is always open and grateful to what God is doing. So it's a real privilege to be able to share some of the good news stories of God's goodness and kindness to people that just picked up during the course of this last week. I've got a number of stories of God's provision for people this week. And do remember, as you listen to these things, someone else's testimony is your prophecy. If God did it for them, there's no reason why he can't do it for you. You can take hold of other people's testimony and say, Jesus, make that my testimony, because I need to see you meet me in that way as well. That's your privilege as you listen. So we've heard that, two people who, because of their circumstances, have not found it at all easy to break into the employment market. Two people within the fellowship this week have secured jobs, which is such good news for them and sets a path for them of a security of employment that they haven't known for quite some time. Thank you, Jesus. And we heard from King's Money Advice Centre this week that they have been working for some time with someone who has been a victim of violent abuse in the home. And they represented her, and as a result of the circumstances, £3,200 of tax credit overpayment had accrued. And this was being clawed back in circumstances that put her under incredible financial pressure. So the team at KMAC and Gavin Dixon leading that team were representing this lady and representing her need. And the outcome of those representations and the recognition of her circumstances is that £3,200 overpayment has been cancelled, and the deductions that have been made from her ongoing benefits have been restored. And that lady is living in a place of financial stability that was a very fearful place for her for many times. And God's people standing alongside those with need, representing them, have seen that breakthrough for that lady. Thank you, Jesus. Within SCF, we've received just recently two sizable gifts towards the foyer facelift project, which has helped reduce the deficit on that project really well. So we're grateful to God, and we're grateful to the generosity of God's people who sow into a project that is all about opening up the centre, opening up and increasing the welcome and the light and the brightness and the feel of welcome in that open foyer area at the Plaza Centre. So we are grateful for those contributions and God's provision. And Vineyard, some of you know Vineyard meet in a school normally, and there's just sort of like no knowing when they will be able to meet again in school premises because of all the restrictions and the limitations. And those of you who know the Vineyard offices will know that they're right next door to Dick Devines, the nightclub. And Andy Vincent and the owner of Dick Devines have conversations every now and again about all various sorts of things. But when they expressed their need for somewhere to meet on a Sunday, they approached Dick Devines and said, could we meet in your building on a Sunday? And he's opened the door to them to meet in their building, which has got all sorts of facilities that will really help them on a Sunday morning, so they can start to meet as gathered church again, despite the fact that they can't get back into their school. So for all these different ways in which God provides for individuals, for his church, for the congregations, his church families. Just thank you, Jesus. And then there have been a number of revelations of God's heart of love for vulnerable people. Early in lockdown, Avenue Baptist Church put an enormous amount of work into creating a COVID secure environment for their contact centre for supervised family visits. And putting all that in, and you can imagine in the current circumstances just what was involved in that, health and safety and COVID protection, and all that kind of stuff, an enormous amount of work. But in feeling that they needed to still create that environment for these separated families who needed supervised visits, they ended up being the only contact provision in this region for many weeks, because their heart was to express God's love to these families. What a wonderful testimony to the community that is. And you will know that those of you on the His Kingdom Come WhatsApp prayer group, that during the course of this week, we've heard news of significant medical developments for 2 children that we've been praying for. We've not seen the fullness of what we're looking to God yet, but there have been significant medical developments in each of their cases that have brought relief to the immediate situation and has been a definite move forward. So for all these things, Jesus, we celebrate, we rehearse your goodness, and we give you thanks.